Cooking Today show on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. I'm Alan Gilbreth, and I'm here with my partner in culinary crime, Brandon Olmsted. How you doing, man?
I am here. That's about all I've got.
That's all. Really?
Yeah. I mean, there's good smells here.
Well, that's good. It's a good thing we have backup then.
I'm trying not to drool on the microphone.
Well, that's good. That's good because we're going to be joined by Bud from Motor Mouths.
Hey, what's going on?
You good?
Thanks for having me.
Cool.
I was told there was free food. I just smelled my way in here.
There we go.
That's exactly what happened.
All right. Well, guys, it's one of my favorite weeks in the whole world. It's Mardi Gras.
Excellent.
So that means Mardi Gras food.
Alan has a very unhealthy relationship with New Orleans.
Yeah. Well, yes, I do.
He goes down there. He's all sorts of excited and fit and trim, and he comes back lethargic and sluggish and 20 pounds heavier.
Yeah, I was only there for a couple of days. Let's go around.
Sounds like a good time
20.
to me.
It is. But like I said, it's an unhealthy relationship.
But, just to kick the day off right, you have in front of you, sir, a sample of red beans and rice.
Right.
Everybody, sir, it unscrews. There you go.
Okay.
before Motor Mouse rips the can off. All righty. Red beans and rice, better known as Laundry Day food.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Bud's looking at me. Can I eat this? Yeah, you can. It is a mind-numbingly simple dish. It's basically, red beans, black beans, whatever you want, rice, of some sausage, some leftover ham hocks, or whatever you got laying around. And Brandon is the king of slow simmer and crock pot.
That is my best friend because I can sleep while it's going on.
Well, guess what? This is one of your best friend's dishes.
Oh, absolutely. I will say this. I was expecting more of a spice, a little bit more of a kick, but then I remembered that you're passing this out around the studio.
I am. Yeah. Not everybody's quite the Creole culinary specialist you and I are.
Literally, my only criticism was going to be it could be a little spicier, but I like my food spicy. So if you're going to hand this out to a bunch of people, it's just right.
Yeah.
Well, for the masses.
I mean,
not for the specialists.
Not that I'm casting any shade, but we got a lot of mayonnaise people here, so yeah, this is just right for them.
It was happily we snuck through on the Food Dude segment this morning, and voila. So
I'm gonna be honest. I mean, this is just a look behind the curtain. Usually, by the time we get to start recording the Cooking Today show, the samples are all gone. So. I think the fact that you hid enough so that we could do it on the show.
It's
hard.
I left the studio. I had to run home and I restocked
and
came back.
Okay.
So I was kind of like, all right, you know what? We're gonna do the food samples because a little later we're also gonna get into some repurposed dark chocolate.
Yes.
Because not truly a Mardi Gras food, but a favorite, especially when you're at an event or something like that, is fudge.
Absolutely.
And you had put in a request that we were going to talk about fudge.
We were going to talk about fudge. We're coming off this past weekend, we were at the home show for the Mid-South.
We were.
And there's always a stand there that's doing fresh fudge.
There is.
And I was like, we got to talk about fudge because it's an amazing culinary treat that I don't know how to cook. I've never made fudge before.
Oh, you will be able to make fudge by the end of today.
That was why I needed you to talk about it because I can't just get it once a year, Alan.
I'm here to train you in the ways of fudge. That's awesome.
I'm here for the free food, man. Oh, this is really good. I like it. And so what? Not too much of a. I can't cook. I eat anything right out of the microwave, man. So.
All right. Well, the secret to this is the beans.
Yes.
So now, Brandon, you and I can either go with either beans, canned, or dried.
I'm personally a fan of the dried, and you soak them just right. You throw your seasoning in well before anything else starts cooking. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the beans will absorb that flavor. And I go a little more.
Now, you're talking about throwing in seasoning when you're rehydrating the beans.
Right.
All right, that's a step most people do not do.
Well, most people aren't me.
That's true.
Thank goodness. No, I gotta say though, this is good. I would want to make a bunch of this at once and then just chip away at it because I don't like to spend a lot of time cooking. I want to get in.
You actually make this in a batch big enough for everybody.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you're former military. I mean, are you ever really former military? But
That's the Marines you're thinking of. Always a Marine.
No.
I got out of the Navy. I went to college. I'm happy. I'm done. I got what I wanted.
but you know what it's like to be in a situation where they've got to feed a lot of people at once.
Yeah.
And that's what this does. Because a little goes a long way.
You just set this up at the crock pot, your barbecue, and people can get what they need from it, or your Mardi Gras party.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And this is another case of food is assembled, not necessarily cooked.
It's always a good side project if you're doing like a crawfish boil, because not everybody loves mud bugs like we do. They'll go for the red beans and rice.
I've never had crawfish.
Really?
We are so going to correct that. All right. This is an honest promise.
Okay.
We will do a crawfish episode. When would you like to do this?
You tell me, man. I live here.
All right. You want to do it next week?
We can do it
next week or the week after?
Let's do it the week after, because I may be going to a crawfish boil that week.
Well, look at you. He's already heading out. All right.
Go.
Well, we will ease you into the wonderful world of mud bugs.
Okay. Yeah. I'm up for anything, man. You see, the Navy is what got me to this point of I'll just eat whatever. Like I've got no preference anymore or fear.
Well, one of the things that we're going to have to teach you before it's all over with, Allan's got to teach you to be able to cook on like engine pizza.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're a car guy.
Yeah. Well, they did this on MythBusters. They wrapped their food in tinfoil and they cooked their Thanksgiving dinner on the way to.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
Place.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to do some engineering cooking. All right, guys. Well, that's it for this segment. Hang in there. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Cooking Today show. This is Allan, and we are broadcasting from News Talk 98.9, the Roar of Memphis. And Brandon, how was the red beans and rice?
The red beans and rice were so good that Motormouth Bud had to leave to go take a nap.
I love his confession. I'm single. I don't know how to cook. I will eat anything.
Right. He's a human garbage disposal, and we love him for it, because he came in, gave the perfect review, and went to bed.
Yep. I don't think he went to bed. I think he had to go to work in the other studio. But
that's what he says, but the lights are off in there.
Well, that is true. I'll give him that. All right, so let's talk about your crock pot predilections, and let's make some red beans and rice for these people.
Okay.
I'm going to start the fracas off with, for my red beans and rice personally, it's going to begin with a diced onion and a diced bell pepper or two, depending upon the size of them.
Right.
A couple of cloves of garlic, diced up, smashed up, however you want to do it.
I prefer to hit them with a hammer.
You do.
And then they just,
you
I make a mess.
You like garlic sauce.
I really do.
You do. All of that pops into the crock pot full of water or the pot we're going to slow cook it in.
Right.
I like to give it just a tiny little head start. Go ahead and get the water turned on at that point. Now, you do something different. You like to rehydrate beans with seasoning.
Yeah,
I
like, and it's not just with beans or anything else. Anything I need to do that does, needs a soak.
Right.
I tend to go ahead and put my seasoning in just because it kind of seeps in. And yes, it's a very faint addition in the beginning, but it's just like, I like that extra bit of flavor that you get once you bit into the bean, which also leads to my beans being a little mushier than what most people do. But that's also because, I don't have this tendency of wanting to wait.
Okay.
I do a lot of things on high, which only takes about a third of the time that I should be taking. But then I will continue to cook it to the actual max time. But I want to get some early, because by the time I'm done cooking and ready to serve everybody, I'm usually full.
Well, that's true, because you do believe in stir and taste.
I do. And it's like I get yelled at a lot, because it's like, why are there so many spoons already in the dishwasher? Well,
I use a fresh one every time I go through, and
I don't know what I might have. I live in Memphis. We are an incubation point in the.
we're in the South.
Yeah.
We'll leave it as we're in the South. All right. So we got our onion. We got our bell pepper. We've either rehydrated beans,
which is my
or
preferred
we
method.
are starting with fresh or already rehydrated,
Right.
or even canned.
Canned. Yeah, there's no, I know I say this with a lot of different things. There's no wrong way to bean.
No. And
It's about your taste.
Well, the thing you do have to remember about canned, and I know people like, I don't know where this begins, but people have a tendency to argue with me whether or not something in a can has been cooked. If it's in a can,
It's been cooked.
it's been cooked.
Yes.
It may
reheating
have
it.
been raw going into the can,
Yeah.
but the sealing process, the canning, quote unquote, canning
there's a lot
process,
of heat involved there.
it's cooked.
Yeah.
With that said, you can reduce the cooking time from fresh beans and rehydrated beans with canned beans by at least half,
At least.
because they are already cooked.
Yeah.
So now, personally, I'm not the biggest kidney bean fan.
No.
They have a tendency to fall apart a little bit easier and give you that nice bean paste
Yeah.
type sensation. I like that for certain dishes.
Right.
For red beans and rice, I actually will usually go half and half. I'll either use pintos or black beans,
Okay.
because the black beans just have a tendency to be a little sturdier,
Right.
and gives you a little bit of color. Adds a little extra to just ordinarily pretty much a brown dish.
Yeah.
Now, another thing I like to do is use the colored bell peppers. Yellow,
Yeah.
red, orange, whatever flavor they have.
Which I
or
noticed.
color.
I noticed in the samples.
Yes,
Yeah,
the samples were yellow bell pepper.
It was very colorful, which I'm not used to when it comes to red beans and rice.
When
When it comes to a Cajun dish, if I want color, I think more of jambalaya, because the whole thing about jambalaya is you just throw everything in the fridge in there and go, it's not going to kill me.
Yeah, jambalaya and paella fall into the same category. I refer to them as, I have a pot of rice and I'm going to clean out the fridge.
Right.
Which there's so many variations.
It's an
of both
amazing
recipes.
Sunday dinner.
It is, or snack.
Yeah.
Or afternoon, or
the
it's
thing
been
is
breakfast on one or two occasions.
The thing is it's what I like to call a pack food.
It is
because you're going to pack up at least 80% of it and eat it the rest of the week.
Yes.
So if you're into meal prep, things like jambalaya or even etouffee or your red beans and rice, they're perfect Cajun dishes that are almost designed for meal prep for the week. Because you can't do a small batch of any of those.
You shouldn't.
No.
I can't imagine doing like the red beans and rice for two.
No.
That would just be like, what I need, half a cup of rice. I need a quarter cup of red beans. I need a quarter cup of black-eyed peas. I need a quarter. That's tiny portions.
To put it in perspective, it's like, you decide you want to do a dessert, but it's just you and the spouse, and you're going to do cupcakes. So you only use like a tenth of the cake batter.
It's kind of like we measured this much of the cake batter out.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, no, you just make it all and you eat it until it's gone.
Well, that's that's what we got refrigerators and freezers for.
My wife's Italian. We do the same thing with pasta dishes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You find a lot of corollaries the minute you say the word ethnic food.
Right.
Everybody has this starch-based dish that's a little bit of everything.
Right.
I like the fact that when we start talking Mardi Gras type foods, it gets, it's kind of this festive fun idea. Even though red beans and rice, the tradition is this is your Monday laundry day dish.
Right.
Because it needed no attention from you.
And that's really good with Mardi Gras because most of us are a little blitzed out of our minds, so we really don't need to pay attention. We can't pay attention to the oven.
Now, red beans and rice is also not a quick dish. This is not something you're going to knock together in 20 minutes.
No.
This is an all-day cook. Now, the protein. The protein needs to be something durable.
Right.
of great place to make those soup bones. Great place to use that ham bone. Great place to use that leftover ham or pork.
Big fan of, smoked sausage, kielbasa, andouille sausage.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever your flavor palette will take. And typically, in my opinion, when it comes to red beans and rice, the spicier the protein, the better.
Okay, well, you just brought up the other one because bell pepper is not the only pepper that can go in red beans and rice.
No.
So if you like a little jalapeno, feel free to chop that up in there. If you are a little bit more on the chili head side, feel free to insert your Scoville heat units here and make a red beans and rice specifically for your clique.
Right.
Because once you get above banana peppers, you gotta kind of watch people's heat tolerance.
Well, unless you're evil. At which point...
Well, you're only going to be evil once, and then they're never going to trust you again.
Reaper beans and rice is not a good idea.
It sounds delicious.
It does.
But you got to tell people what you're making.
Right. You can't just say, I made red beans and rice. It's like, if you're throwing in the ghost pepper or the Carolina Reaper, you have got to warn people in advance.
But that'd be a very popular booth at the fair.
It probably would.
If you had Reaper red beans and rice up there...
Yeah, I don't think it's like...
Your chili heads would get excited.
Why don't we have a food truck yet, Alan?
I don't know. We're working on it. I seriously am. I really am. I've built several. I need to build another one.
Right.
So we've got our beans. Now, I am a rice on the side aficionado because rice is not going to take cooking for 8 hours.
No,
it's a starch.
It becomes
It's just not going to make it. It's just going to become an emulsifier.
I refer to it as sludge. But yet
after a while, it just gives up.
I've known enough people who have thrown their rice into the dish and cooked it for that long, and all you have is paste.
Yeah.
You could put up drywall with it.
Yeah. So I like to make the rice, put it to the side, and at thecookingtodayshow.com, I wrote a nice little article about the 2-to-1 reference. For your general, just everyday run-of-the-mill white rice, 2 cups water, 1 cup rice equals perfect rice. Don't cook it on high, people.
No.
Boil it for a minute, then back it down to warm or between warm and low. Cover it. Come back in about 15, 20 minutes and make sure you haven't burned it. But it is a great way of getting the perfect thing of rice.
Yeah. I like my gadgets. I have a rice cooker.
Rice cookers, I actually I hate to admit it, I like them.
Yeah.
I'm not a gadget person, but I do like them.
There are so many gadgets out there that are just a waste of money.
Well, they're gadgets. They're there to make you think you can do something you can't.
But what's great about a rice cooker is that it's off to the side, and that leaves all of your burners available.
It does, and it leaves you a nice big pot of rice sitting there, ready to be folded in whenever you're ready. So the biggest thing is you whack a spoonful of rice in the bottom of that bowl, add your red beans on top of it. Dinner served. Sprinkle with a little cheese, add some chopped leeks, scallions, sprig of parsley, whatever you want. But see, this is also, we're going to kind of wrap up right here and go,
just
when we
cilantro.
Come back, it's going to be whatever you want it to be. This is the Cooking Today show on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. I'm Alan. I'm sitting here with Brandon, and we are still working on a batch of red beans and rice.
Well, I can't eat it. You do have to warn me when there's actually going to be samples. I won't have breakfast.
Well, there you go. Oh, wow. Who knew such a simple dish could be talked about so much?
Well, I mean, we've proven that you can talk about anything for hours. But this is one of those where it's like, a lot of people just immediately think, all right, the beans, the rice, sausage, seasoning, we're done.
Yep.
No. There's so many more intricate details that go into this. Well,
it's that simple, or it is that complex, whichever you'd like to try.
One of the biggest things is, and it's amazing how it can set off the flavor palette or the flavor profile just by choosing different rice.
Well, you just hit a topic that I had jotted down here, is that not all rice is created equal.
That is true. I'm a basmati guy.
There you go.
But I've done dishes like this with a long grain wild rice.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually poured red beans and sausage over a risotto too, which is very odd. You've got to put like a bowl shape into the rice pile.
No, okay.
Because it doesn't soak in.
No.
It's a weird flavor, but I think I dig it.
Yeah, okay. Can't argue with that. I was thinking any of the fragrant rices of any of those
jasmine.
Are just the jasmine rice and all that all oddly works well together.
Yeah.
One of the things I discovered a while back was I even like the variety of red beans and rice where half of the kidney beans were replaced with black-eyed peas.
See, now that right there just feels like a very New Year's kind
of
dish.
It is. It's a great way of sneaking something in that people tell you they don't like.
Yeah. Oh God, I don't know how many times, it's like, you're at a family event, New Year's Day, and they're like, you got to have your black-eyed peas for luck, and you get it. Someone's like, well, I don't like them. If you mix them in with the red beans and rice, they'll eat them and not even realize it.
Oh yeah, they won't even know. Yeah. We've also got a really good recipe for Hoppin' John posted on the website, so feel free to go back and look at that. Yeah. However, red beans and rice is just such a simple, easy, and I'm going to say relaxed dish. Right. There is nothing stressful about cooking this. You're not in a big hurry.
No. It's
going to take a while. It's perfect for the crock pot.
If you take a nap in the midst of it, you're fine.
Because everything's on warm. Yeah. You're not frying anything. You're not flambeing anything. You're not in any emergency. And to be honest, maybe I think you could overcook it at some point.
But you haven't reached that position
But
yet.
Really, you'd have to have it on the heat for a couple of days.
At least.
So it's such a simple, easy dish. And of course, there is, oh my gosh, at least 1,000 variations, because I've had it with basically leftover pork chops.
Yeah.
Just diced up, cut off the bone, and let to soak in the wonder that is red beans.
I've had it with chicken.
Chicken.
I'm gonna say though that in a time when you're doing it with chicken, something you may want to try, and just to throw a curveball at your family, is do it with white beans.
I've had it done with white beans. I've had actually the triple mix. I've had red beans, pintos, and whites.
That's just crazy talk there.
And it was, and actually I was thinking I may go for the fourth one. I may just go for the quad and go with the kidney, the white, the pinto, and the black.
Yeah.
And you would just have pretty much the bean echelon around the world represented.
Yeah, I was going to say the diversity in rice.
Yes. Yes. It's just, everybody's here. Yeah. It's, it's a simple, easy, so enjoyable dish. And here's the other thing. You can always leave it on the mild side. You don't have to add lots of cayenne pepper.
No.
You don't have to add, a cup and a half of paprika. You don't have to pile on the hot sauce. The really good news is everybody can do that to themselves.
Yeah. What's great is it's a dish that is, best served piping hot.
Yes.
So if it's something that needs to, I guess, soak in the flavor that you're adding, it doesn't take that long.
No.
It's like, and a little bit will do you.
It will. Yeah. It will. And of course, if you're a sauce aficionado, there's only, I don't know how many hundreds of hot sauces on the market these days.
15,
the great thing is you can line up 10 of them in front of you, and you can just add a dash to each spoonful as you work your way through your sauce cabinet.
I don't recommend that.
Different flavors.
I don't recommend that just because then you have to put everything away.
Well, that's true, but it's a lot of fun. So as you pointed out, the perfect side dish to this is, of course,
cornbread.
Some cornbread or some hush puppies. What are hush puppies? Little balls of cornbread.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got that out of the way. Yeah.
It's cornmeal deep fried. You can't
basically.
That's not there's nothing bad about that. Now, if your doctor tells you shouldn't have fried food, well, you don't need that kind of negativity in your life.
At that point, I'm going to say bake the cornbread. Use it. Get one of those cute little pans where it's got the little ears of corn shapes, and that way you can have the cute little shapes and stuff.
And I know that this isn't the purpose of the show, but I found this little muffin tin on Amazon where the muffins are about as big around as like a nickel.
Mm-hmm.
Fill that with with your cornbread mix. Just throw it in. It's perfect.
That's kind of cute.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's adorable.
So I would say that we have completed dinner. Would you agree?
Now what are we going to do for dessert, Alan?
Well, that's where you're going to reach in that bag in front of you.
Oh. What have you done?
Because you brought in a request.
Yeah, I did.
And I just, of course, being me, could not do anything just regular and normal. So I made a dark chocolate fudge.
Oh. And it appears to be salted?
Just a tiny little bit, little sea salt, just give you a little extra oomph there on it. And, that stunned silence you're hearing.
This is not a radio on-air food.
Yep.
Oh, my God, that was good. Very smooth. Now, you know my feelings on fudge.
You do.
Fudge is heavenly.
It is.
I don't know how to make it.
It's
one of the few things that I will admit I can't make, or I've never made.
Okay, I can give you a stunningly simple recipe.
Can I make it in the crock pot?
Actually, yes, you could.
I'm going to learn how to make fudge, people.
Here we go. All right, basically, fudge is chocolate with a few more solids added. So I'm going to tell you the easiest fudge recipe I can give you.
No. Alan, it can't be that. It's chocolate and love and magic. And magic's hard to get.
Yeah, but the magic
and maybe a little sugar.
Well, actually there's no sugar in my fudge.
There isn't that chocolate.
Well, there is in the chocolate, but the simplest possible fudge recipe is 3 cups of chocolate.
Okay.
Think your basic baker's semi-sweet morsels.
Okay.
3 cups of that.
All right.
1 can of condensed milk.
I'm one of those weird guys who can drink that.
Don't drink it.
I've done it before.
I know.
I'm still alive.
Pour it in the pan.
Okay, fine.
Or the crock pot. Add 3 cups of semi-sweet morsels.
I'm right there with you.
When you can stir it smoothly, pour it into a glass pan.
Yeah, okay.
When you can cut it, eat it. That's the recipe.
That's I don't know if I can trust that. It just doesn't seem complicated enough.
You are eating that recipe right now, except those are repurposed of ultra dark chocolates.
Oh yeah, I can tell that they're bitter. They're ex-wife bitter.
Oh yeah.
But it's good.
Well, everybody's used to, I guess, I'm trying to phrase this properly without sounding completely inane about it. Of a lot of people are used to sweets being sugar. But things like chocolate aren't necessarily sugar sweet.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
It does. But right now I'm thinking about, there are brands of chocolate who I want as sponsors, so I'm not going to say their name now.
Please call us.
But they do bar form, breakaway bars, and they have the percentage of cocoa on the package, and they keep getting darker
and darker and darker. And we're going to talk about that when we come back. This is the Cooking Today Show on News Talk 98.9. I'm Allan. We're sitting here with Brandon, and we've had a rousing discussion about red beans and rice, and then we worked on dessert.
Oh, yeah.
And dessert, dear sir, is?
Fudge. It's fudge. It's
oh
magic.
My gosh, it is so good.
It's amazing. Okay, so you gave me a good recipe to make, just your basic chocolate fudge.
Yes.
Now, what if I want to get a little fancy with it? Like,
all right, well,
we were, I mentioned it before. We were at the home show this past weekend, and I watched those guys do stuff, and they've got like 14 different flavors.
They do.
So how do we go about making, say, like a peanut butter fudge, or a they had a cookies and cream one. I don't want to know how to do that because it'll end up at my house all the time. I have friends and a spouse that love cookies and cream.
Yes. And
I like it, but I also believe that there's a such thing as too much of a good thing.
There is. Okay. Well, here's one of those things where I'm going to tell you the secret to anything chocolate is, of course, the temperature.
Okay.
You cannot get in a hurry. You do not want chocolate to go above 120 degrees.
Okay.
Just boom. That's it. I've laid it out there. We're done. You got to treat chocolate with respect, or you're going to wind up with, how should we phrase this? A real disappointment. So there are sugars already added to the chocolates we have.
The idea of disappointing chocolate, it seems, un-American.
Singed chocolate is an absolute affront. I have tasted more burnt chocolate creations than I ever want to remember.
Okay.
So the idea here is that, well, like you said, your crock pot. I know several chocolatiers that use crock pots. They have them set at exactly 115 degrees.
Okay.
They fill them up with the chocolate, and they use that all day long. There's their chocolates.
Okay.
Let's talk about what we're going to do with the different kinds of fudge.
Okay.
Here we go. It's, what do you want to put in it? You got a basic recipe.
Right.
So, do you like pralines?
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
Let's go make some pralines.
Which is perfect because we've been talking about Mardi Gras food.
We're talking about Mardi Gras food, so I'm kind of staying in the theme. Yeah. Pralines. Welcome to pecans. They are wonderful. They are delightful. However, you need them fresh.
Okay.
Pecans have a tendency to go rancid. They don't age well. You're not going to have pecans from 2 years ago. So you need fresh.
Right. Okay.
So, I mean, this is one of these things where I tell people, check that package you got in the fridge or sitting in the cabinet somewhere. If it's more than a year old, you're gonna add flavor profiles that you don't want.
See, we make we have to buy a big bag of pecans every year because my wife and I, we do Christmas cookies.
Right.
And her chocolate chip recipe calls for either walnuts or pecans, and then we have a Mexican wedding cookie that calls for pecan meal, which you make by food processing the pecans with a little bit of flour in there. But once that's done, we tend to actually just kind of eat the rest of the pecans. We don't let them gestate.
They're not going to sit around long enough to oxidize.
Right.
So yeah, but any of your nut meats, raw nut meats like walnuts, like pecans, really, you kind of need to get to them. Now, when I say fresh, I don't mean in the next couple of hours. I mean weeks, days and weeks. They are very shelf stable, but eventually those sugars begin breaking down, the flavors become more bitter, and eventually, it's a flavor profile you no longer want.
And trust me, there's nothing wrong with tasting your pecans before you go, you start putting together your ingredients for the rest of the recipe.
Oh, goodness. No, you should always taste
totally
test.
You will know if they've gone bad.
Yeah, you can usually smell it. But
and if you put it in your mouth, the sound you will make will let the rest of the house know that they've gone bad.
Well, let's think about what else we can do with fudge.
Well, I want to ask you a question. When it's like, of course, I've got my crock pot. I love my crock pot. I live and die by the crock pot. What are your thoughts? I mean, would a double boiler make doing fudge easier, or what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the double boiler?
I love my double boiler.
Right.
As a matter of fact, those were double boiled.
Okay.
You gotta have a chocolate or candy thermometer.
Okay.
200 degree steam is above 120 degrees.
Right.
So you can get it boiling, set the second, the content pan in, then you need to back off that heat a little bit, because what we want is that 120 degrees.
Right.
We also don't want to add water.
Okay.
Water and chocolate, not the best of ideas, because the water will interact with the sugar crystals and can create, we'll just say, unfortunate side effects. We want the sugars and the chocolate fats to stay happy with each other. Right. We don't want them separating. Okay. We want them, we want it all to be part of the same happy family there. So a double boiler, yes, but you got to be just a little bit careful.
Okay.
You can't just throw it in and forget it, because yes, I know it's steam, and yes, I know it's supposed to be only around 200 degrees.
Right.
However, 200 degrees is actually still too hot for what we actually want.
Okay.
So be careful. The double boiler is a great idea. You gotta watch what you're doing.
Now, one thing that I have used for melting chocolate, just for random things that we're doing around the house, I have an air fryer.
Yes.
And it comes with what they refer to as a confectioner's bowl.
Yes.
It's for, you can make cakes in it. You can do whatever in it. And, the one I have, you can set the temperature.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, it takes a minute, but yeah, it's like we've always made sure that when we're melting things, we do it on a much lower scale than say, all right, I'm going to throw in potato wedges. I'm going to crank this thing all the way up.
Yeah. No, not for sweets.
No. Now, if you want to melt chocolate to pour over your potato wedges, then we have a problem, because, I've always said there's no wrong way to potato, but I think you may have found one.
Yeah, that stunned silence you're hearing, ladies and gentlemen, is me going, really haven't ever found a recipe where
I've seen someone do that with
chocolate and tater really kind of go together.
I've seen someone do that with the chocolate fountain, and I don't think I've ever cringed so hard.
I'm having, man, now chocolate and any level of fruits.
Absolutely.
Totally in with.
Okay.
Wow. And tater just not happening in the memory banks.
Now we're moving into something that I've where it's like the experimentation phase, because you brought up fruits as far as melted chocolate. Is there a safe way to combine a fruit filling to your chocolate, like a natural fruit filling, not something artificial that you just.
Okay, of trying in the attempt to make a strawberry fudge.
That's exactly where I'm going. Because
how did I know that's where we were headed? Basically what I did was the exact same recipe as I already laid out.
Right.
I used 3 cups semi-sweet morsels. I used 1 can of condensed milk. I got it so that it stirred smoothly, and it was now time to add a cup of my insert. In this case, it was strawberry preserves.
Okay.
And I've discovered that you really need to be careful with the size of the preserves.
Right.
Because the size of the preserves can leave you with like a big kind of mangled hunk of strawberry instead of a smooth consistency.
Okay.
So oddly as it may sound, you may want to chop up your strawberry preserve or your strawberry jam before you add it to your fudge.
Okay.
Just to get smaller pieces so it distributes better.
I can see that.
And, mix thoroughly, pour into the glass bowl.
Right.
And voila, I had a
Chill and
strawberry infused chocolate fudge.
Which, come on, let's be honest. If there's anything you're going to add to the fudge that's not, your basic, solids, it's going to be strawberry.
Well, it had to be done.
Yeah.
Because that was like the first thing that leapt to mind was chocolate covered strawberries. And I went, strawberry infused fudge.
Yeah.
It turned out fairly well. I'm going to experiment with a couple of other different ways of preserving the strawberries. Mm-hmm. But it definitely needs to be a preserved strawberry.
Okay.
Something that's going to hold up, something that's been sugared and cooked and not add a raw or a growth-inducing substance to the fudge.
Right.
Because
you don't
if you use raw fruit, you're gonna have decayed fruit in your fudge in very short period of time.
Yeah, I can already see someone trying to do fudge that's basically chocolate covered bananas and doing this incredibly wrong.
Brandon, believe it or not, we are out of time. We're going to have to talk about some more fudge and candy and other goodness another time. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us today on the Cooking Today Show, News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. And we will be back soon.